Dixie Decker, Queen of Student Housing, and I just wanted to log in here and discuss a couple things that some of my mastermind group people are experiencing right now, and some of the tips and tricks of locking in a rental after just one showing like we do. So what we've discussed a lot with my group is we drive everyone to the same showing. So you don't have to disturb your current tenants and show your property once a week or as people want to come in and see it. You decide when you want to show it, and our goal is to show it one time and have it rented. It's a lot less work, and you create some freedom with your lifestyle or even your employees or assistants, etc. So we drive all of our marketing for people to call in. We keep it very simple and basic with the information about the house. Call in for a private showing. When they call in, we book that showing by letting them know the only appointment we have left is such and such date at such and such time. And you choose that. Have you ever just ran your rear end off showing properties or houses? So people call in, they want to see it tonight at 5. So now you change all your family's plans. You run over there at 5 to show it, and then you go over at 7 to show it. And most of the time they stand you up or don't even show up. They forget, all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of an open house design, but don't get confused, it's not. I've covered this in one of my other training videos, is the open house mentality, but I'll briefly touch base on that again. I had one of the members in my group run an open house for their student housing property. It was a single family house. And what happened was they just had people linger through. They got no names and phone numbers. They had no idea who was there. And they ended up giving out a couple applications, but had no one give them any deposit money or move forward. So what we discussed was there's no scarcity or demand in that concept. It is a come as you please, type situation. It's not a buying situation or there's no demand. So the very next week we changed his mindset and we posted the ads, call for a private showing. He made a list of everyone that said they wanted to look at the house at that day and time. The other thing we tell them is, hey, listen, we're going to send you a text that morning to let you know that the appointment is still on. If you do not respond, we will not show up because we expect you're not coming. So they have to text us back for us to show up for that showing. And we kind of put that in there as, an expectation of the appointment. What happens at the appointment is we let them look around. We are there with applications on hand, even though they can fill that out on our website. My concept is if they take the applications, if they're motivated. The ones that don't take an application don't ever apply. Almost, probably 90% of the students that take an application packet turn it back in. And what happens at that appointment is you'll have 4 or 5 groups show up looking at this house at the same time. And so if you have at least one group linger and the other ones go out to the car, they've taken an application packet, they actually watch to see how long the other group is going to be there, thinking they're not going to get it. Or they're all inside the house making phone calls to parents to get money wired so they can be the first to get your property. And the student housing that I'm talking about is very nice housing. It's not slumlords. So the students that are going to college, they really want to live in these nice places with the big space. So they are single family houses. You can use this in apartments, etc., but we're talking about what we've done in single family houses. So to move on past that open house concept is the next piece is after you do that private showing that is a few groups, they take your application packets or they call in and let's say you are running your business from afar. If the person that is showing the property or opening the door for you does not have applications in hand and they want you to send applications to certain people, the test we have currently ran is if you email them a outline of your expectations of the entire process on how to get the house, it seems very lined out and makes sense and that this is what everyone would want to hear, so they know every step of the process. But what often happens is, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, I have, is when I get this big list of stuff, I get overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I can't complete all of that. There's no way I can get through that today, so I'm going to put it off to tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And when I have a good hour to sit down, I'm going to go through all of that. And so that's the same thing you're doing to your tenant when you give them this huge list of to-dos. Even if they're not to-dos, it just looks like a process, you are not going to get those application packets back. So our email is very simple. If we have to email an attachment for an application to someone, we just say, here's our application packet. We understand as a student you may not have credit or a job. Just let us know who's going to be paying the rent, and go ahead and have that person do a cosigner application as well. And we will answer any questions that we can for you. We look forward to working with you. That's it. Because that's the only step they want to know about right now, and they want to know that you're going to be easy to work with. Now, don't confuse easy to work with and setting an expectation. We will do that down the road. So this is the first step, is the application, because your goal is to get as many applicants back as possible so that you can evaluate which group or packet that you want to have in your property. If you're scaring them away with all of these steps that look really good, especially from an analytical mindset, a systems or process, just don't put it all together. There is a system, there is a process that we talk about in my group, but what we tested was we put it all together and said, here you go, and the students in college panic. It's just too big of a list. They've got finals, they've got classes, they've got studies, they've got all this stuff to get to, and the last thing they want is this huge list, but they can do a step at a time. So once you get their application packet back, we do let them know at the appointment, the first group to get us a packet and deposits is going to be looked at first. It doesn't mean they get the property, but they'll be evaluated first. And then essentially the best fit for the property gets chosen. So after they send you back their applications, we just email them back or text them and say, if your application is evaluated, when can we expect the security deposit to be in our hands for us to move forward? So then they let us know what that expectation is, and that helps us evaluate the packets. So again, this is a system or a process, but you don't overwhelm your prospect with all of that information. And it's super exciting to me that we can test some of this stuff for you, make these mistakes for you, so it costs you less time and money, and you'll be rented. So in this test, we did 3 different showings, 3 different weeks, and when we emailed these applications to the prospects, it went with the list, and no one turned in a packet. But on a separate property that we exercised the, here's your application, the first to get it back to us with a deposit is evaluated first, and or we emailed them and just said, here it is, let us know if you have questions. Those all rented in one showing. So there's a little lesson to be learned that by following the system that's proven to work, you will also have success in a shorter amount of time. So that's super exciting that we can test that for you. Most everyone in my group has rented their properties in 1 to 2 showings on their very first round with student housing. So that's pretty cool, because as a past realtor or even property manager, you work your rear end off showing these properties to person after person after person, nights, weekends, etc. And my staff doesn't do that. We don't show property in the evenings. So, we can talk about the rest of those steps that come along with the process with student housing, but it can be so simple if we allow it to be simple, and your properties will be rented for 12 months. Your students or / tenants will know that you're flexible but stern in your process, and that you have an expectation moving forward, and they're happy with that, because that's what their parents do, that's what their coaches do, it's what their teachers do, etc. But what we don't want to do is overwhelm them at the get-go, because it's just a little too much on them and their schedules, that they're becoming adults in life, and school is essentially their job, and some of them have an additional job on top of that. So they're just like us, trying to get through that 40-hour work week or whatever your schedule is. So if we think as the landlord, laying out the steps would be easy, we're forgetting about that emotional buying, simplistic thing that our tenants even need from us. And so you're going to have greater success. You're going to have a better quality tenant, and your communication lines are going to be opened up so that they're not just skipping out on you. So anyways, I was just working with a couple members of my group, and this kind of triggered some thoughts for me to share. And I wanted to put it out on my public page, hoping that someone else can benefit from it or shed some insight on your experiences. And our goal is always to have success for our college kids that are renting from us, their parents, us, and our staff. And so if we have that, we feel like it's a great success. It turns over our properties. It keeps them clean. It keeps them nice. It gives them a better rate than what they are usually paying at the dorms. And so the parents are really excited. They don't have to move their college student home in May, take vacation days, pack a U-Haul, move them home for the summer, and the child or student has to find like a place to live if they have a part-time job where they go to college. And then mom and dad take vacation again in August, and they get a U-Haul, and they haul their kid back to the dorms. And so with our student housing method, it does present a lot of cash flow for investors that use this method. However, it is a better deal for the parents and students than what the college dorms are charging. And so that's why we like to call it a win-win for everyone. And who wouldn't want to have a business where they can be a landlord and they don't have to evict people, they don't have vacancies, and really work a very limited amount of hours compared to other businesses or other landlords or rental companies. So that is why we really, really love it. And I just wanted to share a couple of those tips with you guys this morning. And again, post in here, like it, share it. If you think it could help someone you know, tag them in this, invite them to check out the page. And I hope to be talking with some of you.